Hello everybody, this is Accurate Dryheart. And how can Fazbears keep opening one location after another despite the fact seemingly every single one of their locations ends up closing soon after because of missing children, frontal lobe chomping, or that one time the entire location burned to the ground with the franchise owner still inside? Well, the answer was simple enough once I took a moment to think about it. And it has to do with something I just said. Fazbear Entertainment is a franchise.
What are we talking about? We're talking about becoming a Fazbear Entertainment franchisee.
And not just any franchise, but a massively successful franchise. Think like Chuck E. Cheese. And while we're thinking about Chuck E. Cheese, that does bring up one little thing. Why did all of the Fazbear locations close? Now, obviously, when a building burns to the ground, you can't exactly just pick up where you left off. However, Chuck E. Cheese, there is a location that, in the early days, was theorized as inspiration for the FNAF games because of an event that happened in it. And that Chuck E. Cheese location is still open till today. So, yeah, some of the stuff was pretty gruesome, but a lot of it, just kids disappearing and such. So why did all the stores close? Well, I made a short where I kind of went into that a little bit, and it's not necessarily important to this main thing, which is how big is Fazbear's? Because if it's as big as I suspect it is, we've been really underestimating just how much there is out there. In particular, since I'm comparing it to Chuck E. Cheese, and I actually think that Fazbear Entertainment is bigger than Chuck E. Cheese. This is because Fazbear has so much more going for it. It had, way back in 1983, when the Fredbear Family Diner closed, a TV show, merchandise, and basically brand recognition in a way that Chuck E. Cheese would dream of. Why? Because back then, there was no Chuck E. Cheese. There was Showbiz and Pizza Time Theater. It wasn't until a decade later in 1993 that the great video game crash in the US caused both Pizza Time Theater and Showbiz Pizza to go through a downturn, after which in 94 and 95 they had a bunch of store closures, and finally Showbiz Pizza acquired Pizza Time Theater, forming the company that would eventually be known as Chuck E. Cheese. So, how big were the two companies way back when? And I'm not going to try and go through and like, this one is that and this one was that. Mostly because I don't have the numbers on that very easily. Like, I looked up all the locations I could. Not all of them I had opening dates or closing dates, but I'm pretty sure I have an idea of which ones are open or closed and a broad guess at when. However, I have enough data. And the important data is that in 1983, when Fredbear's Family Diner was popular, they had merchandise, they had TV shows, they had the whole works. In 1983, both Showbiz Pizza and Pizza Time Theater had a total of 185 locations. Admittedly, during that year, 3 did close, or it could have been 188. Except 3 did close, meaning the fact that Fazbear Entertainment had the Fredbear's Family Diner close is just one of potentially 3 they could have, and yet still not be worse than Chuck E. Cheese. And while, yes, having the original Fredbear's Family Diner close would be kind of sad, it would not be the end of anything. In fact, let's look ahead a little bit into some future events. 1985, the missing children incident that closes the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The two companies of Chuck E. Cheese had 195 open locations. 1987, when said Freddy Fazbear Pizza reopens in a new location, but closes in, 2 more weeks because of another bite. Chuck E. Cheese, the two companies, had 211 locations. Now we jump ahead a bit. It's still before the merge between the two, so this is still the Pizza Time Theater and Showbiz Pizza as 2 competing companies. Remember that, they're competing. And that's 1993, where Freddy Fazbear Pizza opens again, but closes. There was 257 locations. And at this point, we jump quite a distance into the future. We're getting into more modern times. Though a quick pit stop into the mid to late 90s. During a bit of an unspecified time frame, Circus Baby's Pizza World is planned to open, but Elizabeth Afton is killed by Circus Baby. Zooming all the way to 2023, just a few years ago. That's when, well, for one, Fazbear Fright opens at a local amusement park. I mean, really, have you seen Chuck E. Cheese having an entertainment thing at a local amusement park? I mean, really, have you? If you have, comment down below, because that sounds interesting, and I didn't find anything, but I'm not exactly an amusement park kind of guy. Anyway, also, FNAF 3 happens, and more importantly, Henry puts out an ad for a franchisee, and the events of Pizza Simulator takes place. As in, this is the point where we get confirmation that Fredbear's Family Diner, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, all of this stuff is part of a franchise. And speaking of franchise, we're finally in a time period where Chuck E. Cheese, as we know it today, exists. And so, how big is Chuck E. Cheese? I know that in 2023, there was 346 open locations. And while the number of open locations hasn't exactly been skyrocketing as it did back in the 83s, there's still some growth. But what about Fazbear Entertainment? How are they doing? Well, they're doing pretty good, I've gotta admit. We go ahead to 2030, and the Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex opens. A Mega Pizzaplex. This isn't just some little restaurant arcade sort of thing. This is a massive, it's like a mall in and of itself. And then, of course, we go to March of 2035, and a security breach happens, so, not doing too hot. But that's just one location, just one Pizzaplex. And if Chuck E. Cheese, despite for a good portion of its early years being two competing locations, can manage to have 346 locations open in 2023, I do not doubt the cultural phenomena that is Fazbear Entertainment, the whole Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria, and the Pizzaplex and all of that, it will have been doing so much better because you do not make a Mega Pizzaplex without something going your way. And so no, it's not a question of why can Fazbears keep opening locations despite all of them seeming to close because of horrible things. Rather, so few of them that we know about, only these few. There might even be 3, 4, 5 times as many closed locations that we don't know about. And yet there will be hundreds of locations if it's even just matching what Chuck E. Cheese has managed to do. And going by the stuff we see in-game and the material we see in various glimpses, Freddy Fazbear is so much bigger than Chuck E. Cheese. Anyway, I'd like to hear what you think about everything I just thought about, theorized, and explained. Please tell me down in the comments and all that stuff. Also, like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube-y stuff. And this is Accurate Driver, and I'm signing off.